Good morning. Today on Business Success in 6 with Stacie, I have Tony Romero here from Romero's Taco Truck, but that is not all. Tony has several businesses, and today we're going to ask him specifically about Tony's taco truck, but I think he's got a lot more for us in store. Tony, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So we're going to get right into this, and I'm just going to start asking you the questions that I normally ask. But again, I think there's a lot of golden nuggets that we're going to find out. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. When people ask you what your business does, how do you describe it?
So if I focus kind of on the taco truck side, we're a food truck and restaurant business that tries to go above and beyond. So obviously that would include really delicious food and making sure that it always comes out the same, that it's the same within all locations, but also service. Some of those things would include, when customers come out to any of our trucks, we make sure that we take out the food out to their car if it's raining, snowing, cold, or if they don't want to wait out there. So trying to make it a service base as well.
That's beautiful. How many trucks do you have?
So the four owners of Romero's Taco Truck are myself, my father, Cesar Romero, my uncle, Alex Romero, and my other uncle, Carmelo Romero. And so total, there's 5 trucks.
Wow.
Um, and so 2 of them are event trucks, 3 of them are stationary trucks. One in New Berlin on Sunny Slope and National, one in Tosa on 68th and State, and then one on in West Dallas on High 100 and Rogers, and then a restaurant that's coming brick and mortar in Greenfield off 76th and Cold Spring in about 2 to 3 weeks.
That's very exciting. And one thing that really stands out is when you say you want to make sure that you always have the same food experience. I mean, you look at, for example, McDonald's, and McDonald's might not be the best, even though yours is wonderful, but the consistency is really, really important. So I like that you were sharing that with us. So what were your plans when you started your business, and how have they changed?
So I think in the beginning, everybody ultimately, my uncles and my father and myself in the beginning, prior to getting into the businesses that I have, I think everybody had their mind on not wanting to work for anybody else.
Mhm.
And them being in the food industry for a very long time, 15 plus years, all of them collect each individually. Um, everybody I felt I felt like it was finally time where everybody decided, all right, we have to do this now before it's too late. I feel like it was something that was on everyone's mind to become entrepreneurial and start a business. We having that much time in the industry. All my uncles and my dad were always in the restaurant industry. Were always leaders, so they were always either chefs or general managers or running multiple locations. So they could see a lot of the problems that were going on that maybe didn't want to get fixed by corporate or didn't fit the budget or just maybe never got to corporate or they didn't care about. So we knew that we could solve a lot of those problems and build a really good brand ultimately. And so in the beginning, it was just getting out of that 9 to 5 and not having to work for somebody else, creating something for themselves rather than for somebody else.
Mhm.
And so now, I think we're focused on building one of the most prestigious companies in Wisconsin, but then also the Midwest and then possibly the nation and eventually franchise. I think that's one of the ultimate goals is to be able to franchise with having a good brand and having good service that people know and recognize. And I feel like we've already done a really good job. There's I don't want to use the specific word because it would sound bad, but there's a really good, like deep following of people that like a large amount of people that if we do anything, they show up because they just love our food. The word of mouth spreads like crazy. Events come in, out of word of mouth every single day nonstop because so many people are talking about our food. We'll have people that come to our trucks and then they'll go home. They'll tell everybody their family will come back the same day. They'll come back the same day. So we've done a really good job of it.
That is wonderful that you know your demographic and that you're creating so much demand. That's something that it's almost a recipe that people are looking for. So congratulations on that. What is the biggest way that you impact the community?
So we impact it in a few different ways. One way is just being mobile and being able to get to places where people need us, regardless of anything, just us being able to show up. I feel like another thing that we do is we inspire a lot of other people to either want to build their own truck or want to become entrepreneurial. We get as I'm working cashier, for example, sometimes I get to talk to a lot of people that ask questions about how we started our truck, the type of, money it was needed up front, how successful it is, and how they've been considering doing it. So I feel like just seeing more trucks out there and our growth, it really does help inspire other people to want to build their own thing. Um, and then we also do $1 tacos very often. We've started doing them a little bit more regularly. I don't make any money on $1 tacos,
Mhm.
but at least right now, prices of cost of goods is just pretty expensive. That has gone up tremendously. And so being able to price it at $1, a couple times, a quarter, or even like 2, 3 times a month allows people that maybe are on a budget to come out and just enjoy some good food at a very reasonable price that they can afford, for them
Absolutely.
and for their family. And then in the future, one thing that we are focused on, because we do a lot of events, I for this next upcoming year, we really would like to have a goal as far as a business or company that of what we can contribute to charity or organizations. I know we're going to be taking part in a few different kind of charitable events, and so seeing if we can donate a certain amount of our proceeds to that, I think that's something that is that's something that we're talking about and in the works about releasing next year and starting to be more active in.
That's wonderful. Thank you for all of that. What is one challenge that you have faced that other business owners can learn from?
So, one kind of popped in my head right out the gate when we were kind of having this conversation. I think that in the beginning, trying to do kind of like that cash only side, or yeah, I guess just being cash only when we started out, that limits you. I know the average food truck, and we know because every single time we have a customer that's brand new, they ask, "Do you guys accept card?" Because the
Mhm.
average food truck does not take card. And there's a lot of reasons behind it as far as like people want to like evade taxes or whatever it may be. Or they just don't want to, they want to claim less. I'm not, there's many reasons as to why people want to do it. I think that was just not a good idea. One, for legal reasons, because it's hard to track if you're just doing cash only. So
Mhm.
you don't want to have your numbers mixed up and then have, run into some trouble. But then also the fact that it's really hard to track your growth if you don't accept credit cards, if you don't monitor everything that's going on. I feel like a lot of businesses just go day by day and they say, all right, well, we have an extra 20K in the bank. Now we can maybe start to build a new truck, rather than focusing on where the growth is, what the best days are, what promotions worked, which ones didn't, what drove up traffic, why there was a trend this week, all those things that help you as a business just go to the next level. So I feel like it didn't allow us to kind of think in the way of growth when we were just doing that. And so now all of our trucks have credit card machines, and we're able to track all the numbers a lot more. I just signed the New Berlin truck with Toast. So we have Toast POS coming in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be starting a loyalty program for customers that come out and being able to give them back money for a specific amount of spend and keep track of everything. So trying to continue to get better in that aspect, because as you continue to scale, when you have one truck, it's not so much of an issue, but when you're scaling it, you have to know what to do in order to, one, stay profitable, and two, just continue to grow. And then also just not seeking mentors early on. I think that was kind of a big default, seeing kind of everybody in our niche as competition. I think
Mhm.
now that we've connected a lot more with other business owners and able to learn from one another, because we might be 10 miles away from each other, and it's a different we're going to have different kinds of customers and a different area that we're targeting, so we can still help one another and grow.
Absolutely. That's both of those points are very, very, very smart. And, we think in terms of abundance. And if we're thinking in terms of abundance, we are going to help other people grow and lift each other up while we're doing so. So that's beautiful. And I also 100% agree about getting a POS, making sure that you're offering different kinds of ways to pay, because what works for one person isn't going to work forever, and you really are limiting yourself. What does the future look like to you, and do you have an exit plan? I know you talked about scaling, maybe franchising eventually. How far out do you think you'd like to do that?
Yeah, so like my uncle Alex is the one that's more of like has like the big visions. I do as well, but like his goal, I think, or he like what he's brought up is, possibly going the franchise route in the future if being because of the good brand that we're building and the good relationship and reputation.
Mhm.
There are obviously so there's goods and bads to it. There's a lot of monitoring that has to go on to make sure that that brand stays the way, keeps that reputation even as it franchises. But definitely, I think franchising is kind of in the future. That's why we don't change the name. We don't change the from truck to truck. Nothing.
Mhm.
The food all tastes the same. The service is the same to make sure that it's all collectively on the same, within the same brand.
Mhm.
But then possibly to sell one day as well. That's another reason why I feel like a lot of people are shooting themselves in the foot when they're not keeping track or maybe taking credit card or investing into a POS system like Toast that tracks all your numbers. Because if at one point you do want to sell, if you have nothing to show, then all you're really selling is maybe the small amount of traffic you bring in per day and then whatever the truck is worth.
Mhm.
Whereas if you can show that your growth and your projections and where you're going based on everything and all your numbers based on, ingredients and everything, you've cost of goods and everything, um, down the line, an investor will be interested in paying more for what you're possibly worth rather than what you're currently worth. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we're making sure that we're tracking all of that so we're prepared in the future.
That's wonderful. Very smart. And last question, all subjects open. What inspires you most?
For me, being 23, being ahead of the game, that is one thing that inspires me a lot, is just like knowing that a lot of kids my age, and I like to call myself a kid still, but a lot of kids my age are still in college, still maybe even deciding what they want to do.
Mhm.
And every single day, even if I fail, I get to learn something. So the failure is actually part of the best part of growth, and going through those struggles. Sure, it really does suck when you're going through them, but I mean, that's where we learn the most. It's where we learn what not to do the next time. And so just knowing that I'm ahead of the game. And then also one thing that excites me is just knowing that we're in one of the best times ever to be, where there's the most amount of entrepreneurs nowadays than ever before. And so just knowing that that network is out there and connecting with other entrepreneurs and learning from one another, seeking mentors. I pay in the real estate space, I pay tens of thousands of dollars a year just for mentorship alone, to be
Mhm.
able to learn from guys who are higher up than me and go out to events and fly out all across the country just to attend. So yeah, I mean, knowing that that network is out there is definitely super inspiring as well.
Absolutely. That is expiring, Tony. Tony, thank you so much. I know you also have 5 other businesses, including a CRM business, real estate business, and a pet grooming business. If somebody wants to get in touch with you to talk about any of that, or specifically Romero's Taco Truck, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, Instagram always works the best. It's so TheTonny Romero, Romero. That's one good way. And I guess I'll put my number out there. I regret this sometimes, but 414-793-2446. It does take me a while to answer texts. But if you text me, introduce yourself, I'll gladly, get back to you so that, we can figure out if you need something from me.
Good connection. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We wish you the best of luck and happy holidays and happy new year.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Tony. Bye.
Bye bye.